Page 260. During Baker's testimony at the Sussman trial, and although not remembering having done so, Baker speculated that he may have attempted to protect Sussman's identity and limited disclosure to only a few senior FBI executives. According to Baker, if he did so, it was because he considered Sussman to be a source who, quote, had in their possession very sensitive information that he was willing to give to the FBI, end quote. But later, Baker testified he did not recall whether he had refused to provide this to any specific FBI personnel or who he would have instructed to put a close hold in place. Cyber Agent 1 testified that when he was obtaining Baker's signature on the chain of custody, he could not, quote, distinctly recall what the conversation was, but that he was frustrated that Baker did not tell him who had provided the thumb drives. Cyber Agent 2 told the office that he and Cyber Agent 1 considered filing a whistleblower claim about Baker's failure to provide the information, but ultimately decided that they would not because the data provided was not formal evidence in a criminal proceeding. The FBI Headquarters Program Manager for the Alpha Bank case team, Headquarters Supervisory Special Agent 3, noted that FBI leadership, including Stroke, instructed him not to identify the source to the team. Headquarters Supervisory Special Agent 3 further explained that he believed that the investigative team did not need to interview the source as a first step and instead should focus on the data and log files to make a determination as to the validity of the allegations. Page 261. The office's investigation showed that the Alpha Bank investigative team made multiple requests to learn the identity of the source of the Alpha Bank allegations. Approximately a week after the FBI received the Alpha Bank allegations, Chicago Agent 1 sent Supervisory Special Agent 1 a message requesting that the investigative team interview the source of the white paper. Approximately a week later, Chicago Agent 1 and a supervisor again made requests to FBI leadership to interview the source of the allegations. As Chicago Agent 1 explained, this was important to the case team because the investigation had found that the allegations were unsubstantiated and the team wanted to confirm their findings. Ultimately, the case team never learned that Sussman was the source of the allegations, nor that he was connected in any way to the DNC and the Clinton campaign. The FBI's investigation ultimately concluded that it was unable to substantiate any of the allegations in the white paper that Sussman provided to Baker. FBI Chicago assesses Alpha Bank and Trump Organization-related servers almost certainly did not communicate intentionally or covertly based on the results of an internal examination of Alpha Bank servers by redacted and subsequent preventive steps employed by the companies. FBI Chicago has high confidence in this assessment, which is based on a highly reliable, sensitive source with excellent access and corroborates FBI investigative activity conducted to date. And coming to that conclusion, the investigators took a number of steps. First, they conducted open source research on the mail1.trump-email.com domain that was identified in the white paper. They learned that the domain was registered to a company called Central Dynamics, Cindyne, and that the server was housed in a company named Listrack, located in Pennsylvania. As a result, the FBI reached out to both Cindyne and Listrack to request data and log files from each company and to conduct interviews as well. Both Cindyne and Listrack were compliant with these requests and provided log files and data that was analyzed by FBI analysts on the investigative team. Ultimately, the data and files provided nothing to substantiate the Alpha Bank allegations. Page 262. In addition, the FBI reached out to Mandiant, a cybersecurity firm that was hired by Alpha Bank to conduct an internal investigation and forensic analysis into these allegations. Mandiant provided the FBI with its findings, which too concluded that there was no evidence to support the allegations of a secret communications channel, nor any evidence of direct communications between the Alpha Bank servers and Trump Organization servers. In early 2016, an agent detailed to the National Computer Forensics and Training Alliance, Cyber Agent 3, contacted the Cyber Division of FBI headquarters because he had received 2 IP addresses from an anonymous source who had requested that the information be provided to the FBI. According to Cyber Agent 3, the anonymous source told him that the information related to a New York Times story involving the upcoming election. Cyber Agent 3 was then put in contact with Chicago Agent 2. Cyber Agent 3 recalled that Chicago Agent 2 was dismissive of the information, and Cyber Agent 3 interpreted Chicago Agent 2's response as if the investigative team was already aware of the information. Chicago Agent 2 explained that the case team performed open source checks on these two IP addresses that resulted in identifying one IP address associated with Alpha Bank and one IP address associated with a home address in Moscow. The office's investigation revealed that the anonymous source who provided the two IP addresses to Cyber Agent 3 was in fact Jaffe. The most likely reason Jaffe decided to provide the two IP addresses to the FBI via Cyber Agent 3 anonymously was to create the appearance of corroboration. One plausible theory that the office considered was that Jaffe and others were attempting to promote the Alpha Bank allegations in such a way that the allegations appeared to be from multiple independent sources. Indeed, at this time, Jaffe himself was an FBI CHS. But in this instance, Jaffe decided to provide the Alpha Bank allegations and the two IP addresses to Cyber Agent 3 instead of his FBI handler, with instructions to keep his identity protected. Jaffe's unwillingness to voluntarily meet with our investigators left unanswered his actual motive for providing some information to the FBI through Sussman and the two IP addresses, though Cyber Agent 3 and in both instances to remain anonymous. Page 263. Finally, the Alpha Bank investigators also received information in early October 2016 from a separate CHS regarding the Alpha Bank allegations. Chicago Agent 2 explained that, according to the handler, CHS had access to the white paper and had made an initial assessment that the allegations were credible, but that the data appeared incomplete. The CHS also explained that she had been contacted by University One Researcher 2, one of the white paper authors. In the correspondence from Chicago Agent 2, there is an indication that the FBI was interested in speaking with University One Researcher 2. However, that meeting never occurred. In January 2017, the FBI closed the Alpha Bank investigation. Ultimately, the FBI was unable to substantiate any of the allegations in the white paper. Actions by Fusion GPS to promote the Alpha Bank allegations. The Special Counsel's investigation also uncovered numerous communications in which Fusion GPS leadership and other personnel sought to discuss, advance, and disseminate the Alpha Bank allegations. As noted in April 2016, Perkins Coie engaged Fusion GPS in connection with the 2016 election. As part of Fusion GPS's work on behalf of Perkins Coie and the Clinton campaign, it collected, organized, and promoted opposition research on Trump's ties to Russia. Perhaps most notably, as described in Section 4D1B, Fusion GPS retained Steele, who compiled the information and reports that became known as the Steele dossier. Fusion GPS also drafted one of the white papers that Sussman provided to Baker at their September 19, 2016 meeting. Page 264. That white paper provided an overview of the parent company of Alpha Bank and described ties to Russian government officials and certain U.S. companies and entities. Following Sussman's promotion of the Alpha Bank allegations to the FBI, Fusion GPS continued to promote these allegations to various media personnel. For instance, on October 18, 2016, 2 weeks before news stories would appear about the Alpha Bank allegations, Mark Hosenball of Reuters emailed Fusion GPS co-founder Peter Fritsch, stating in part, "Anything new, Rusky, Donald-wise?" To which Fritsch responded, "Do the explicit Alpha Bank secret comm story. It's hugely important. Forget the WikiLeaks sideshow." End quote. The reporter replied that the issue with the story was the inability of his cyber expert colleagues to confirm that some of the important data was authentic. Later on that day, Fritsch replied, quote, "It's everyone's problem. Call University One Researcher 2 at University One." On October 22, 2016, Franklin Foer, a reporter of Slate magazine, emailed University One Researcher 2 at the University One email address asking for assistance on the Alpha Bank Trump story. A few days later, Fritsch forwarded to Foer a tweet stating that the U.S. Senate Majority Leader had, quote, talked with top NatSec officials who say that the FBI director possesses explosive information about Trump's ties to Russia, end quote. Fritsch's email stated, "Time to hurry." Foer replied, "Here's the first 250 words," and included in the email a partial draft of an article about Alpha Bank and Trump, on which Foer was working for Fritsch's review. The reporter published an article shortly thereafter. On October 31, 2016, media outlets published articles regarding the Alpha Bank allegations and the existence of an FBI investigation. As previously noted, within hours of these articles, the Clinton campaign issued tweets and public statements concerning the purported existence of secret communication channels involving the Trump Organization and Alpha Bank. Page 265. Actions by the Clinton campaign to promote the Alpha Bank allegations. On October 31, 2016, about 1 week before the election, multiple media outlets reported that the FBI had received and was investigating the allegations concerning a purported secret channel between the Trump Organization and Alpha Bank. For example, Slate published an article that discussed at length the allegations that Sussman provided to the FBI. Also on that day, the New York Times published an article titled, "Investigating Donald Trump, FBI Sees No Clear Link to Russia." The article discussed information in the possession of the FBI about, quote, what cyber experts said appeared to be a mysterious computer back channel between the Trump Organization and the Alpha Bank, end quote. The article further reported that the FBI had spent weeks examining computer data showing an odd stream of activity to a Trump Organization server, end quote, and that the newspaper had been provided computer logs that evidence this activity. The article also noted that at the time of the article, the FBI had not found any conclusive or direct link between Trump and the Russian government, and that Hillary Clinton's supporters pushed for these investigations. As noted above, in the months prior to the publication of these articles, Sussman had communicated with the media and provided them with the Alpha Bank data and allegations. Sussman also kept Elias apprised of his efforts. Elias, in turn, communicated with the Clinton campaign's leadership about potential media coverage of the issues. For example, emails reflected on September 1, 2016, Sussman met with the reporter who published the New York Times article, Eric Lichtbau, page 266. Sussman billed his time for the meeting to the Clinton campaign under the broader billing description, quote, confidential meetings regarding confidential project, end quote. Emails further reflected that on September 12, 2016, just 1 week prior to Sussman's meeting with Baker, Sussman and Elias communicated about Sussman's efforts to share the Alpha Bank allegations with the New York Times. In addition, on September 15, 2016, Elias provided an update to the Clinton campaign regarding the Alpha Bank allegations and the not yet published New York Times article, sending an email to Jake Sullivan, HFA Chief Policy Advisor, Robbie Mook, HFA Campaign Manager, John Podesta, HFA Campaign Manager, and Jennifer Palmieri, HFA Head of Communications, which he billed to the Clinton campaign as, quote, email correspondence with J. Sullivan, R. Mook, J. Podesta, J. Palmieri, R.E. Alpha Bank article, end quote. On the same day that these articles were published, the Clinton campaign posted a tweet through Hillary Clinton's Twitter account which stated, quote, computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump Organization to a Russian-based bank, end quote. The tweet included a statement from Clinton campaign advisor Jake Sullivan, which made reference to the media coverage article and stated, in relevant part, that the allegations in the article, quote, could be the most direct link yet between Donald Trump and Moscow, that this secret hotline may be the key to unlocking the mystery of Trump's ties to Russia, and that we can only assume that federal authorities will now explore the direct connection between Trump and Russia as part of their existing probe into Russia's meddling in our elections, end quote. During the Sussman trial, both Elias and Mook said that the HFA campaign did not authorize Sussman to take the Alpha Bank allegations to the FBI. According to Elias and Mook, the campaign did not trust the FBI due to Comey's announcements related to the FBI mid-year exam investigation regarding Hillary Clinton's use of a private email server during her time as Secretary of State. Mook also explained that top Clinton campaign officials were aware of the Alpha Bank allegations and favored providing the allegations to the media. Mook likewise noted that he had discussed the allegations with Clinton, who approved the dissemination of them to the media. Mook testified that the campaign did so before questions and potential doubts about the accuracy and reliability of the allegations had been resolved and without knowing the exact origins of the data. Page 267. Although the campaign could not substantiate the allegations, they stated that they considered them concerning and wanted the media to vet the allegations because of concerns about Trump's association with Russia. Sullivan and Elias raised Trump's July 2016, quote, Russia, if you're listening, end quote, statement as one reason for the Clinton campaign's concern about Trump's ties to Russia. Sussman's meeting with the CIA. The office also gathered information related to a post-election meeting that Sussman had with the CIA. On February 9, 2017, Sussman provided an updated set of allegations, including the Alpha Bank data and additional allegations related to Trump, to the CIA. The office examined Sussman's interactions with various CIA employees involving how he was able to secure a meeting with the CIA, what occurred during that meeting, and what materials he provided the CIA. The investigation revealed that in December 2016, Sussman reached out to the CIA General Counsel and requested a meeting related to allegations against Trump. The General Counsel did not take the meeting and suggested to Sussman that he provided the allegations to the FBI. Sussman, however, ignored that suggestion and continued to pursue a meeting. On or about January 31, 2017, Sussman met with a retired CIA employee, retired CIA Employee 1. During the meeting, Sussman told retired CIA Employee 1 that he had a client who wanted to provide information to the CIA about Trump. Sussman explained that his client is an engineer with a number of patents and would ensure whether his client would reveal his identity to the CIA. Sussman further noted that his client did not want to provide this information to the FBI because the client did not trust the FBI and did not believe that the FBI had the requisite resources to deal with the allegations. Retired CIA Employee 1 also recalled Sussman's statement that should the CIA not investigate the allegations, he would provide them to the New York Times. Following the meeting, retired CIA Employee 1 drafted a memorandum describing the meeting and sent it to the active CIA officers, who then scheduled a meeting with Sussman for early February 2017. Page 267. In the next meeting, Sussman made a substantially similar statement to the one he had made to Baker regarding the source of the allegations. In particular, Sussman asserted that he was not representing a particular client in conveying the above allegations. Sussman, however, was in fact continuing to represent at least Jaffe, a matter Sussman subsequently acknowledged under oath in December 2017 testimony before Congress without identifying the client by name. Sussman provided a similar set of allegations to the CIA that he had previously provided to the FBI. Specifically, Sussman provided the CIA with an updated version of the Alpha Bank allegations and a new set of allegations that supposedly demonstrated that Trump or his associates were using, in the vicinity of the White House and other locations, one or more telephones from the Russian mobile telephone provider Vodafone. The office's investigation revealed that these additional allegations relied in part on the DNS traffic data that Jaffe and others had assembled pertaining to the Trump Tower, Trump's New York City apartment building, the EOP, and Spectrum Health. Sussman provided data to the CIA that he had reflected suspicious DNS lookups by these entities and domains affiliated with Vodafone. Sussman further stated that these lookups demonstrated that Trump or his associates were using a Vodafone in the vicinity of the White House and other locations. The FBI DNS experts with whom we worked also identified certain data information that cast doubt upon several assertions, inferences, and allegations contained in the above-quoted white paper about the Vodafone allegations and the presentation of Vodafone-related materials that Sussman provided to the CIA in 2017. In particular, data files obtained from Tech Company 2, a cybersecurity research firm company, as part of the office's investigation, reflect DNS queries run by Tech Company 2 personnel in 2016, 2017, or later, reflect that Vodafone lookups were far from rare in the United States and were not unique to or disproportionately prevalent on Trump-related networks. Particularly within the data produced by Tech Company 2, queries from the United States IP addresses accounted for approximately 46% of all Yoda.ru queries. Queries from Russia accounted for 20%, and queries from Trump-associated IP addresses accounted for less than 0.01%. Data files obtained from Tech Company 1, Tech Company 2, and University 1 reflect that Vodafone-related lookups involving IP addresses assigned to the EOP began long before November or December 2016, and therefore seriously undermine the inference set forth in the white paper that such lookups likely reflected the presence of a Trump transition team member who was using a Vodafone in the EOP. In particular, this data reflects that approximately 371 such lookups involving Vodafone domains at EOP IP addresses occurred prior to the 2016 election, and in at least one instance as early as October 24, 2014. Page 269. Two CIA employees, CIA Employee 2 and CIA Employee 3, prepared a memorandum summarizing the meetings they had with Sussman in February 2017. The final version, including Sussman's representation that he was not representing any particular client in the interviews with the office, both CIA employees specifically recalled Sussman stating that he was not representing a particular client. During the meeting, Sussman provided 2 thumb drives and 4 paper documents that, according to Sussman, supported the allegations. The CIA analyzed the allegations and data that Sussman provided and prepared a report to reflect his findings. The report explained that the analysis was done to examine whether the materials provided demonstrated technical plausibility of the following. Quote, do linkages exist to any Russian foreign intelligence service? Do linkages exist to Alpha Bank? Are the provided document data based upon open source tools activities? And is this provided information data technically conceivable? Page 270. The CIA ultimately concluded that the materials that Sussman provided were neither technically plausible nor did they withstand technical scrutiny, and further, that none of the materials showed any linkages between the Trump campaign or Trump organization and any Russian foreign intelligence service or Alpha Bank. The report also noted that one of the thumb drives contained hidden data, which included Tech Company 2 Executive 1's name and email address. Accordingly, Sussman's conduct supports the inference that his representations to both the FBI and the CIA that he was not there on behalf of a client reflect attempts to conceal the role of certain clients, namely the Clinton campaign and Jaffe, in Sussman's work. Such evidence also further supports the inference that Sussman's false statements to two different agencies were not a mistake or misunderstanding, but rather a deliberate effort to conceal the involvement of specific clients in his delivery of data and documents to the FBI and CIA. Sussman's congressional testimony. On December 18, 2017, Sussman testified under oath before the HPSCI and addressed his role in providing the Alpha Bank and Yodaphone allegations to the FBI and CIA. During the proceedings, the following exchange in part occurred. Question. Okay, did you have any other meetings with any other administration officials regarding the information you conveyed to the FBI General Counsel and CIA General Counsel? Was there anyone else you contacted that worked for the federal government? Sussman. Not that I recall. Question. Okay, so those are the only two? Now, I want to ask you, what was the information about? Sussman. The information was about communications or potential communications between persons unknown in Russia and persons unknown associated with the Trump organization. Question. Information that was given to you by a client? Sussman. Yes. Question. So the information was not given to you by any other source but the client you represented? Sussman. Absolutely. Question. No, that's fair. So let me ask you a question. When you decided to engage the two principals, one, Mr. Baker in September, and the General Counsel of CIA in December, you were doing that on your own volition based on information any client provided you. Is that correct? Sussman. No. Question. So did your client direct you to have those conversations? Sussman. Yes. Question. Okay, and your client also was witting of you going to, in February, to disclose the information that individual had provided you? Sussman. Yes. Question. Back to the FBI. You obviously had a conversation or you had a meeting with the FBI with Mr. Baker. Was there anybody else in the room from the FBI in that room with you? Sussman. No. Question. Okay, I want to ask you, so you mentioned that your client directed you to have these engagements with the FBI and to disseminate the information that client provided you. Is that correct? Sussman. Well, I apologize for the double negative. It isn't not correct, but when you say my client directed me, we had a conversation as lawyers do with their clients about client needs and objectives and the best course to take for a client. And so it may have been a decision that we came together. I mean, I don't want to imply that I was sort of directed to do something against my better judgment, but that we were in any sort of conflict. But this was, I think, it's most accurate to say it was done on behalf of my client. Sussman's congressional testimony concealed and obscured the origins and political nature of his work on the Alpha Bank allegations. Moreover, Sussman's testimony was also misleading in that it conveyed the impression to Congress that Sussman's only client for the Alpha Bank allegations was Jaffe, when in fact he was billing the work to the Clinton campaign. Indeed, during points in the testimony not quoted above, Sussman was specifically asked if Fusion GPS was his client in these matters. Page 272. Sussman's answer failed to disclose or volunteer that Fusion, in fact, had drafted one of the white papers that Sussman gave to the FBI. Sussman also failed to mention that the only client billed for Sussman's pre-election work on those allegations was the Clinton campaign. Perkins-Coie statements to the media. On October 4, 2018, Perkins-Coie stated to multiple media outlets that when Sussman met with the FBI's general counsel on behalf of a client who was not connected to the firm's representation of the Hillary Clinton campaign, the DNC, or any political law group client. The following week, John Devaney, the managing partner of Perkins Coie, wrote to the director of the Wall Street Journal and stated, quote, Mr. Sussman's meeting with the FBI general was on behalf of a client with no connections to either the Clinton campaign, the DNC, or any other political law group client. End quote. The office interviewed Perkins Coie leadership, including Mr. Devaney, regarding their knowledge of Sussman's promotion of the Alpha Bank allegations and his billing entries related to the Clinton campaign. Each of the Perkins Coie employees denied knowing that Sussman had in fact billed all of his time related to the Alpha Bank allegations to the Clinton campaign. Sussman could have easily corrected Perkins Coie's mistake in belief that Sussman's work on the Alpha Bank allegations, quote, was not connected to the firm's representation of the Hillary Clinton campaign, the DNC, or any political law group client, end quote. He chose not to, providing the Alpha Bank and Vodafone allegations to Congress. The office identified documents reflecting that in March and April 2017, during the months after Sussman provided the Alpha Bank and Vodafone allegations to the CIA, the offices of at least 2 U.S. senators received similar materials. On March 22, 2017, Senators Jack Reed and Mark Warner wrote to Director Comey urging the FBI to conduct an investigation into the reports that a server belonging to the Trump Organization was purposefully communicating with servers belonging to major Russian bank and Spectrum Health Organization in Michigan during the 2016 election. In support of its request, the letter attached an untitled white paper of unknown authorship. The paper included a summary of the Alpha Bank allegations, which was similar in substance and materials that Sussman had provided to the FBI and CIA, page 273. About a month later, Senator Reed sent a second letter to Comey about the Vodafone allegations. Like the first letter, this one attached a white paper of unknown authorship. The paper stated that a small number of Vodaphones are sold globally, and a very small number in the dozens presently operate in the United States. The paper noted that a group of Internet technical experts had discovered a pattern of Vodafone-like activity occurring within the Trump Organization and the Spectrum Health networks, which it correlated with the Trump campaign and transitional team visits to Michigan. The data also purportedly showed that Vodafone-like activity continued at the Trump Organization until December 15, when the same activity began within the EOP, from which the experts inferred that the person or persons using this device in the Trump campaign are part of the transition team that began working within the EOP. The paper concluded that given the broad concerns about the Trump campaign's connections to Russia, the existence and the activity of the Vodafone, as described here, stands out as extraordinarily oddity that warrants investigation. Finally, on May 8th, a staffer to Senator Reed sent a follow-up memorandum to the FBI's Office of Congressional Affairs. The memorandum noted that the source of the analysis insists to remain anonymous but is represented by an attorney. It went on to say that the source is willing, through counsel, to have extensive technical discussions with the Bureau's technical staff to explain the DNS records and analysis that has been conducted. The memorandum also noted that Senator Reed continued to request that the FBI pursue the allegations and that the source attorney was Michael Sussman. Because, however, either the FBI or the CIA or both agencies had already examined these allegations, the FBI did not take further investigative steps in response to these requests. The office did not determine how or from whom Senators Reed and Warner received the above-described materials. An executive at Research Executive 1, appeared to have learned about the allegations from Senator Reed's office and therefore conducted work on these issues in coordination and consultation with Senator Reed's staff. Page 274. Research Executive 1 was a former FBI analyst and Hill staffer and the founder of Research Organization 1. Research Executive 1's activities are further described below.